Okay, I think we're just about ready to go. Just changing some settings on the laptop that I use to monitor the feed. It's better. Okay, so today we're going to be flying the Avro RJ100 from Bolzano to Bilbao. So what does that look like on a map? Let's pull up LittleNavMap to show you it. So we'll squeeze some of this stuff out of the way. So we're over here in the mountains, the north of Italy, and we're going to fly across Europe. So we're going to fly across Switzerland and France, and then into northern Spain. So it should be good fun. So let's have a look at that in Navigraph as well. So if I zoom out, just been looking at the route before I got going on the video just to make sure it was okay. So this is a Simbrief generated route. It's a bit of a crazy one. It's not one I would have chosen myself, but we'll go with it because it makes it more interesting, because then we have to deal with whatever it has given us. Okay, I'm just going to pull up the procedure to start the airplane on a second screen, or a third screen I should say. I've got 4 screens in front of me today. It's mad, isn't it? So bear with me for a moment or two. I thought I'd got everything ready, but obviously not. Okay, more or less there. So we're going to jump inside the RJ100 and press Control and 7. Go and turn the batteries on. And then we're going to go and press Control and 8, come further up and go and put the nav lights on. And the no smoking sign to auto, and cabin emergency to armed. And then aviation section, sorry, avionics section. Yaw dampers on, autopilot masters on, avionics masters on. So anti-skid can go to on, and the lift spoilers, yellow and green systems, can go to on. So then further back down the overhead panels, we can go and put the APU generator to on or up. And then go to put the left inner fuel pump on, and on the APU section we're going to go and start the APU, so we should see the RPM climb. Give it a few seconds to do so. If you go and look outside, you'll probably see it coming to life. Yep, there you go. So this is Bolzano. It's really nicely done, isn't it? Okay, so given that APU gen is on before the APU, means as soon as it gets to 100% and fires up, that you'll hear the systems come alive. And there we go. So we want the flight deck emergency lights now to be armed, and the center tank transfer goes to auto. And ice detect goes to on. Inertial reference system is down in the cockpit, isn't it? So down here, going to go and put both of these to align. And then back in the cockpit, we're going to go to the tablet and go to the OFP and fetch it from Simbrief, which gives us our details. So we're going from LIP-B to LE-BB, which is correct. If we then come out of here, we can see here It's a shame it doesn't give you the airport names, isn't it? There's no reason why it shouldn't, because they're on the OFP. If you did want to check that, by the way, you can go and look on output, and you'll see it up here, Bolzano to Bilbao. We're going to go in the aircraft section, and we're going to import our payload data from Simbrief. So we're going to start refueling instantly. Refueling is complete, so that's refuel done. If we go then to boarding, we can start boarding. Boarding is in progress, and obviously we told it to do it instantly. So now we get the sounds of passengers behind us, which is always fun. So notice the numbers have stopped flashing now, which is good. We will be using these numbers later, so we'll leave it on this tab for the moment. Okay, so we're going to go and busy ourselves with the rest of the systems. So calibrate the altimeters, calibrate any gyros, that's already done, uncage the standby attitude indicator. Go and put the EFIS on for the pilot, jump over to the co-pilot side, turn his EFIS on as well. Go over to the flight management computer and go into the FMC, go to POS init, pick up the last known GPS position, drop it into the IRS position. So what we're going to try today is the Simbrief downloader as well. So we're going to go for the route. So I can program this by hand if I have to, which is, you know, it's kind of interesting in and of itself, but we're going to try a company route again because I had it go wrong the other day. So we're going to go to Simbrief downloader, and it knows about our current plan. And most importantly, it knows where on the file system. It's only got the JustFlight 146 listed at the moment. The RJ family aren't listed yet, but they are kind of the same aircraft. But I've changed the URL here to look in JustFlight Aircraft RJ, work JustFlight flight plans. It's all in the documentation where you can do this. So we are going to export to the place we've just said. So we should find there's a libbleb route file. So if we close out of here now and we put in LIPB and put in company route, and it says not in database. I had this happen the other day. Let's try and put the number on the end. So if we go, I'm just going to go and check that file just to make sure it is there. So if I put in flight plans, we got libbleb, it's got 01, but you shouldn't need to put 01 on the end. Oh, it's already got the characters there. So we should be able to put 01. Nope. It's still playing up. So there might be a few issues with that at the moment. I have had it happen. I've had it work and I've had it not work. So we're not going to get too wound up about that. So LIPB to LEBB. Okay. Flight number. I think I put in VFA 123. Yeah. So VFA 123. Runway. What is our departure runway? 19. And we can put the routing in. So we can borrow the routing from the top of Navigraph, which is a colossal route, which is really, really not very handy. We've got loads and loads of intersections and airways involved. Okay, it's going to take us a few minutes to program it, but oh well. So we're going the Nexat 1W, so you don't put that into your routing, you put this in. So direct to Nexav. Okay, so we're going to put in a Nexav as our first waypoint. and we'll replace the direct with the routing in a minute. So then we go direct to Suxan, SUXAN, and notice it says now what page 1 of 2, so we can carry on with that. And then we go L613 to Valav, L613 to Valav. I mean, this is kind of interesting in and of itself because we get to put some instructions into the FMC ourselves. So L613, okay, to Ronag. Oh, we could have done that to Ronag. L613. That's interesting that it hasn't simplified it in here. You'd expect it to. I wonder why. And yes, it has simplified it down now, look. That's interesting. Then Z119 to Ardid to... Okay, it's not as bad as it looks. Look. That's Z119 still. That's interesting. So Pixos. Z119 to that waypoint we can't get to. And it's not. So Pixos, Pelad Pixos, and then this scrolls the wrong amount. So we cannot see the name of that waypoint. We can't drag this. Oh, we can drag it. Thank you. So Z119 to Eseva. Z669 to Milpa. And then N869 to Nintu, N869 to Nintu. And then UN869 to Mebak. UN869 to MEBAK. It's a bit of a route, isn't it? And the next page. UP860 to Madot. UP860 to MADOT. Then UM976 to Mopum. UM976 to Mopem. MOPEM. Then direct to Velin. Direct to Nenem. Velin, Nenem. Velin is first, so VE Velin, and then Nenem, NENEM. Then finally N867 to Mapax, and then we get the star on the end. N867 to Mapax. N867 to MAPAX. Activate. Execute. Finally. So my brother has appeared on the live stream chat. He's saying, are you not working? Well, the thing is, I worked all year and I hardly took any holiday. So I now find myself with loads of holiday left. So I've got a week off every month through to the end of the year. This is the second month in a row that I'm doing this. So I have this week off and then I have a week in the middle of December off as well. So it literally is, I worked flat out all year, taking hardly any time off because there just wasn't the opportunity to. So now I am burning through leftover holidays. So Oscar P says, hello, it's me. I love it when people introduce themselves like that. Enter performance initialization data. So we go perf in it and we need the gross weight, which is why I left the tablet running. So if I go back over to the tablet, where is it? Gross weight is 41 tons. So what's the key for the tablet? Control 5. So we want 41. Clear. Oh, we want to clear this message out first, otherwise we can't see what we're typing. And then we'll put reserve of, we can look at the OFP, the operational flight plan, from Simbrief to find out what our reserves are. So we've got final reserves 0.8 of a ton, basically. Okay, so 0.8. What's our cruise altitude going to be? I can never see, for some reason I have this complete blank with finding the cruise altitude on these flight plans. There's the routing information. So what we can do, if you're as blind as a bat as me with these things, you can actually go and look at the Simbrief simplified version. There we go. 230 or 23,000 feet. So let's have a look. Is there a 23? There it is. Flight level steps. Oh, interesting. So you got 230, 290, and then Mebac 3, so 30,000 feet, and then Mopam down to 29. Interesting. We'll go for 230 then. So the initial altitude is 23,000, and you can see the instructions here in the full version of the routing. You can see the altitude changes. So flight level 290, flight level 300. Interesting. So, and speeds as well. So 410, 408, 412, 418. Okay, so that means 230 then is our initial climb. So we'll put that in here as our initial climb altitude. Transition altitude on our departure airfield is going to be, where's Navigraph? There it is. We want to go back to just view the plans, don't we? But we want to view the ones for LitB, as it actually is shortcutted it down here for us. So there's a standard instrument departure. And you've got transition altitude of 10,000 feet. So transition altitude, this is just to help the onboard avionics with telling you when you've forgotten to go and change your barometric pressure on the altimeter. So it will start flashing at you when you pass through the transition altitude. So, if we then go and look at the legs page, we can go and put some of those altitudes in, because at the moment, look, it's just calculating the climb for us. If we go, we haven't done the departure yet, actually, either have we, so let's go do that. If we go back and look at our flight information, we're doing the NAXA 1W with the NAXAV transition out of Bolzano. So NAXA 1W. So if we go to departures and arrivals, departure, We're taking off runway 19, so next at 1W, there it is. And yeah, there isn't actually a transition to choose, it's just the only one that exists. And then if we go back to the index, and we can do the arrival while we're here as well. So coming in runway 30, and we're doing the VOR DME approach, so that's good. And it is the PAKKI transition, and it's Mappa 2K. So next page. Mappa 2K is the standard terminal arrival route. Execute that. Go and look in the legs page again. And go and see if we've got any discontinuities to deal with, and go and put those heights in as well, I guess. So if we put the heights in, it means we could play VNav on the way, or we can just control the airplane as we get there and keep an eye on it. So next page. So looking at the original flight plan, we need to be at 290 at Eseva. So we go next page. Next page. Look how many waypoints there are in here now. There's 9 pages of this stuff. So 290. Okay. So we can put in slash. Let's see if this works. 290 at Eseva. Execute that. So notice they go bigger if they are ones that you've chosen. Then we want to go to 30,000 feet at Mebac. That's why we had so many changes on the route, by the way. Because we're changing flight levels. We really are threading the needle through European airspace. So slash 300 will be just entering the altitude part. So Mebac, flight level 300. Execute. And does it come back down again? Yeah, 290 at Mopem. Slash 290. And execute that to make the change. You can make all the changes at once and execute at the end. I tend to do it on the same screen immediately, just to help myself out. So we've gone and programmed the whole damn thing in by hand. Oh, we haven't gone all the way through yet to see if we've got any discontinuities. I'm expecting discontinuities at the end because there's a gap in the flight plan. I've seen it already, yeah. Between here, look, it's got a bit confused. So if we were to pull that up and execute it, it's showing this one twice. So we'll clear one of these out. We'll clear out the first one. So if we del that and then pull that over the top of that and execute, then we've tidied that up. Go next. And the rest of it looks fine. Okay, so we have got that programmed in. Hurrah! Then we can go in and look at our numbers. We've done that. We've done the routing. We've done the legs. We've done the departures and arrivals. We can go look in VNav. So we've got the cruise altitude there. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so just checking through the checklist. So we've done the route, we've done the departure and arrival, we've done the legs, we've done the performance initialization. So we're up to the mode control panel, which I haven't got a shortcut for. It would appear. It's here. I've got the wrong one in my instructions. I'll have to fix that. So flight directors go on. Set the course as required. We'll just leave it for the moment. I suppose we could. So on our departure, our initial course will be, how do we, yeah, there's our airplane on the ground. That's interesting. It's almost like this is wrong. Because if you go and look at the route down here, we got Fora as our first waypoint after takeoff, which is there. Did we actually go and confirm the correct departure? Yeah, Nexa 1W. Perhaps it just doesn't show any of that on the legs page, which is interesting. PB613. Oh, yeah, it does, sorry. So it's like it's saying it's Fora, and then there's the waypoints out as far as Nexav. But this is wrong in Navigraph, because you'd expect it to join from there onto next. Saksan is on the next page. Nexav onto Saksan. Let's go and see what it looks like in LittleNavMap. Oh, hello. Alexa thinks I'm talking to her now. So, yeah, this has got it wrong as well, look. It can't draw it. Oh, it kind of can. It's coming back and then flying out. So, okay. So Nexav is right next to the airport. It's just that it doesn't draw it at all well. There's a line here that's not being drawn by Navigraph. Okay, that makes more sense. It just looked really, really odd. So our initial course will be... Let's get... The sun's always in the way of the instruments, isn't it? Is going to be 190 degrees, or whatever the actual runway direction is. Although it's not actually going to match up perfectly. But the runway is actually 187. So we'll set the course to 187. Oh, sorry, heading to 187. And course, I've gone the wrong way around the compass, but oh well. We'll set the climb out speed to about... You're supposed to set the indicated airspeed for the auto throttle to the flat maximum speed, which is about 160, I think, 140, or it might be 140, 150. You can tell it quickly by looking at the... Oh, not on this one, you can't. It hasn't got a physical indicated airspeed meter, but you can do it here as well. So you've got the flap settings. So if we click on... It's 149. So 18 degrees, if you click on that 18 degrees, 149, it puts the markers on the indicated airspeed ribbon for you. So we want 149. And we're going to go up to 230, wasn't it, our initial climb altitude. So 23,000 feet. Okay, so flight directors are on. You can go and pre-select some of these things. So we could have LNAV on, we could have vertical speed on off the runway and go for 2,500 feet a minute, that kind of thing. I'm not sure if you can go for VNAV and vertical speed. No, it's not going to let us do that while we're on the ground. But anyway, we've got everything ready to go. So, having messed around with that for 10 years, when we come over here, we should see that these are now flashing, which means it's aligned. So we can switch them both to nav. And in response to that, you will see we now have an attitude indicator and a navigation display working, which is good. That means the inertial reference system is now operational. So, pushback. We can push back away from the building. So we want to go and get rid of the chocks. So we'll remove the chocks on the tablet. take off the parking brake, and we can do pushback in here, I believe. We can connect the truck. Oh, it's instantaneous. Oh, my word. We've got an invisible truck. So, which way are we taking off? We want to go out and to the left, don't we? Yeah. Or do we? We want the tail to go to the right because we're taking off that way. And put the parking brake back on. That's the craziest pushback I've ever seen with no tractor. Anyway. So overhead, go and put the fasten seatbelt signs on. We should have done that before the pushback, to be honest. Everybody's probably just fallen over. So beacon light goes to on. The fuel pumps go to... That's the hydraulic pumps, not the fuel pumps. Fuel pumps go to on. And then start master goes to on. We'll start engine number 4 first. So we hit start. We look down in the cockpit. You'll see the numbers coming up on engine number 4. We're looking at N2, which is the gas turbine speed. So it's electrically accelerated. As soon as it goes through 10%, we can... I can never remember the keys for this. Control 6, isn't it? There we go. We can advance the fuel condition lever for engine number 4. Or the throttle. Same thing. And the numbers come up on engine number 4. This is the boring bit. So we're now waiting for the lights to go out on the automatic ignition system. There we go. We can now go and do engine number 3. Hit start. Look down here. We're waiting for N2 to come through 10%. Excuse me. And we can... Whoops, wrong one. Oh, crikey. Why does everything get in the way? So keep an eye overhead. When the ignition system lights go out, we can go to engine number 2. Depending on where you read, there's different engine ignition sequences. Some of them go for 1 and 4, then 2 and 3, or variations of that. Engine number 2. So, sorry, I'm getting distracted reading the live stream and clicking on the wrong throttles again. Reading the comments there from Ace Airstream, who says he didn't get on with the 146, but he's gone and bought the RJ, and he's loving it. Engine anti-ice should be on. We'll have a look at that in a minute. I haven't finished the checklist yet. I'm going through in book order. So yeah, take no notice of those until you've got to the point in the checklist where you go and check to see if you know what you haven't done. So, because they're going to say that everything's wrong at the moment. Eight, 9, 10. Didn't mean to click that. The click spots are huge on some of these things, aren't they? They're wildly off. Did I change that earlier? Let's have a look. Should be in the middle, shouldn't it? You would think. Okay. So engine number 1 is coming up. Everybody's patiently waiting for me while I'm messing around with the aeroplane endlessly. Okay, so engines are up and running. Control 7 takes us overhead. Start master can go to, or sorry, the selector can go to off. Start master can come off. Generators 1 and 4 can come on, which are here. So we're not just using the APU anymore. Then packs can come on. And then the engine air can all be switched on. And that will make the warnings go out up there. The brake fans can go to auto. That's further overhead, isn't it? And hydraulics, engine 2 pump goes to on, engine 3 pump goes to on, and we finally go down to ice protection, as somebody mentioned. So we go and put the screen heaters on, the auxiliary and vanes, and the pitot heater ice protection on. See, half the reason is you don't put pitot heat on until you're within a couple of minutes of the runway, otherwise you can actually damage things. You know, if you're just sat static on the ground with all the heating on the probes, basically cooking them, it doesn't do it any good at all. Well, that's what I've been told. So, rotate TCAS to TA only, which basically broadcasts. If you got it on TARA, it means once you're on autopilot, the autopilot can react to other aircraft being in the vicinity. We'll do the weather radar once we're in the air. What are we doing? TCAS is done. So, landing and taxi lights down to taxi. So we go and check that's working. So, yep, we have lights. And there's a bit of fun here. We can go and get seats for takeoff. Flaps to takeoff position. So, we've just gone. Oh, I thought I'd just done that. It's a bit fidgety on the controls, that's all. So let's go and have a watch the flaps. It's pretty cool, isn't it? All the animations of the hardware. Right, let's go and taxi out. It's not a very long taxi here. And put the head tracking on. So once we're lined up on the runway, we just got to go and put the strobes and the landing lights on, really, and then we're free to go. I wonder if we can make it past this fence. It looks quite tight, doesn't it? Oh, we've got plenty of room. Okay, we just roll up to the line. I imagine they do this to give some room so you don't... Yeah, there's a deflector there anyway, otherwise you'd be knocking those trucks all over the parking area with your engines, which would be quite amusing. Which is why we're coming right up to the apron here. Okay, so overhead. Strobes on. And then further down, landing lights go to on. And we're good to go. Let's just go and double check. We've got the directions correct. So indicated airspeed 149, heading track 1. We can go heading selected mode, but we'll go LNAV and see what this does. 230 initial climb out, 2,500 feet a minute. So yeah, we should be good. Should I turn the sound up for you guys so you get to hear the roar of the engines as we let rip?
Check thrust. Thrust set. Knots. Go. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up select.
Gear up. And auto throttle on. So we're now tracking the vertical speed we commanded. Let me turn the head tracking off for a moment. We're now tracking the vertical speed we commanded, so we can see that happening here. It's going for 1,700 feet, 1,500. Yeah, it's not able to do it actually, look. So we'll hold on to the flaps for a moment. If we raise the flaps now, you'll see it accelerate slowly. We didn't set the mode over here, did we? Can we go max climb? So it's following at the moment the numbers on the SID, which don't. Oh, here they are. Here, look. 200 knots max until we get to PB619. If we go and zoom out on this a bit, you'll see the waypoints. Whoa, that's stalling. Has it killed the autopilot? Yes, it has. So the aeroplane basically put itself into a corner and couldn't get out of it. That's interesting. Okay, how do we cancel the alarm? Because this doesn't... I'm going to turn the auto throttle off. It's because we're going for 149 knots. We didn't increase speed. Why will it not shut up? Have I actually caused the aeroplane to go wrong? It's fine because we're just flying this route out. But why is the alarm button not lighting up? Have I found another issue with the aeroplane? Maybe. Is there an alarm cancel button on the yoke? Yeah. So let's get it back under control. The reason for all of that was because I didn't adjust the airspeed on the auto throttle. So we ended up in a corner of the autopilot that it didn't like. So I've just gone back for lateral navigation and set it for 200 knots on the auto throttle, which it'll be absolutely fine with. We can go for 250 now, to be honest. See, look, it doesn't like it. it's saying we're going for a speed that we can't achieve. So all it's going to do now is pull back onto the flight plan. It's funny, isn't it? You learn something about procedure every time. And that was about not adjusting the indicated airspeed. So let's go for vertical speed now. And go for 2,000 feet a minute. Because look, it can't handle doing that. Which is why you're better off using VNav. But if for some reason VNav isn't kicking in, I've obviously missed something. Interesting. So we're still just doing the standard instrument departure, flying out. This is all just about gaining altitude to climb out of the hills. There's nothing particularly special about it. My computer's now telling me the battery's nearly flat on the laptop, and I have to try and find a wire before it goes dead. For some reason the wire had been pulled out. Who did that? So there's very good reasons for everything that just happened. So it got into a corner of the flight model where it started to stall, and it kicked out the autopilot as soon as the stall warning kicked in. You heard the stick shakers. The reason for that is because I had not increased the indicated airspeed target as soon as we were off the ground. Half of these problems usually happen because there's only one of you, whereas in the real plane there's two of you, and you're following the procedure, accelerating the target airspeed, bringing the flaps up at the appropriate speeds, and so on and so forth. So the workload on a single person flying a two-person plane can sometimes be quite a struggle. So we've come through the barometric pressure, the transition level a little while ago, 2,000 feet ago. So we should be going for 2992 now. So if we press B, what does it do? Yeah, it just goes for local. So we want 2992, that means the same. And these are synchronized, which is quite interesting to me. I wonder if there's a setting for that to make them independent. So we're now on standard barometric pressure and continuing to climb. To 230 for the moment. We're way ahead of schedule. Oh no, we're not. We're about coming up for 14,000, which is about what it had on the SID. We're a little bit behind, maybe. Because we had that drama. We can get rid of the tablet out of the way, although it's quite nice that this new version you can have the en route charts. Unfortunately it doesn't show you your flight plan, but it's better than nothing. So you can put the VFR map on. But yeah, if in doubt, when the autopilot goes wrong, just start flying the plane. Remco's saying in the live stream chat, yeah, it's 2992 inches, but we're in Europe, so I should be saying hectopascals or millibars, same thing. 1013. Yeah, let's have a quick look at that, see if there's any options around making No, there's no aeroplane options in here, is there? Unless they're in here somewhere. No, that's just failures. Can get rid of that now out of the way. Although we said it was quite nice to see the chart, didn't we? Yeah, maybe we'll leave that on. So, coming up through 16,500 feet, we're a little bit behind schedule on the climb, but it's not too bad. So we could just do level change and see what the aeroplane will do. Play catch up. So there's our unintended wandering around, and then we got back on track. But yeah, these more accurate aeroplanes, it's always quite instructive to just go over what you've done, and you often realise, okay, that was caused because, and it's always something you've done, or invariably. That would make sense. Just reading the comment from Chris Patton there that there isn't a operational VNAV. That makes sense then, of why the VNAV button doesn't light up. So you're just basically keeping track of the numbers yourself and hitting the targets as you need to. So if we go and have a look at our plan then, so we're coming back in towards the plan. This doesn't have the VNAV numbers on it, does it? It was only on the OFP. Flight plan steps. Esava 290. So we're at 230 over the top of the airport, which we're about on target to get to. Look, we're at 20 and a half. And then Esava is, where's Esava? Oh, way out here. So we got best part of, what was it, 150 miles to get up to 290. So we've got ages. We can start that climb when we come through Soson, I guess. So we're going to be pretty much on the numbers now. Look, we're coming up, we'll be 230 just about in time to make the turn over the top of the airport, which is back on plan, following being a little bit behind as we turned through the waypoints. So here comes 230. Yeah, we did it with a few miles to spare. So we now go and speed up. Let's go and put the weather radar on. I'm not sure if the weather radar actually works. So range, let's put it on 50 miles. So we're just making the turn. the right day for this flight, haven't we? Absolutely gorgeous up here. We look directly below us. We should see, there's the airport that we departed from. We were on the ground down there messing around for ages, then taxied down, flew off, had a near disaster about there, and now we're on our way. Okay, so we're flight level 230 all the way through, and we go next, and then next, and 290 Esava. So Fribu, it still wants us at 230, which, yeah, there's no way that's going to happen, so I'll start climbing before that. That'll be an interesting one actually, about how you deal with that. I'm not sure whether you begin your climb at Esava or you're supposed to be at 290, therefore you have to figure the climb either side to get to it. That would be one to ask the real crew about procedures of how they do that, how they interpret the restrictions. Or constraints, I should say. Should we put this on low altitude? Or are we on the airway now? I think, are we not on the airway yet? Are we still on the... No, we're still on the standard instrument departure. We can project the airways onto this map. They don't really show up very well. So we join an airway at Suksam. Okay. It's a low altitude airway. If we go and have a look on Navigraph and close the view of the OFP, yeah, you can see it here, look. 613. So if you zoom in even further, there you go, look. Flight level 160 or above. And then we go and follow these airways all the way across, jumping through different airways on the way, which is all pre-programmed in. But then we got some there were some direct twos, weren't there, involved, where there's obviously no airway to follow. Then we got a VOR, I can't even say it, a VOR DME arc into the airport. Be interesting to see what the guidance system does with that. So after MAPAX, it'd be good to see the navigation display on here. I'm not sure if you can step through on this. If we get rid of the yoke for a moment, so we can see this. If we go, we're in map mode. See, this makes no sense to me. There's arc mode. Arc mode shows you your ILS. It's a bit odd. There's plan mode. Right, so can we step? Yes, we can. This is a Boeing unit, isn't it? So I'm just interested to see what the end of that route looks like. We'll see what, what this is going. There we go. It has got the DME arc. Interesting. So it's got a load of waypoints involved to do it. So we'll put this back on map mode for the moment, which shows us the next few waypoints coming. We can maybe increase the range on it. And I need to go and see about making a coffee. Go and see what the cat's up to. You can hear the cat creating havoc at the other end of the house. We're at altitude as well, so whoops, didn't turn the landing lights off, did we? So busy talking. So what I'll do is put this up in the corner of the screen, open window layout, default, close that. No, open window layout, minimal. That's what I mean to do. And we'll put this up in the corner. So we've got a little while before we need to do anything. Okay, so isn't it interesting? There's always something you learn every time you take one of these more accurate aeroplanes up. And in that case, yeah, it was my own failing in terms of keeping ahead of the aeroplane. Serves me right from flying some of the more automated aeroplanes like the Airbus, where the speeds are pre-programmed into the flight plan as well, and the auto throttle follows them. So we're flying out towards Ronag. But I'm going to go make that coffee. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. Let me just check the volume levels. So yeah, you can still hear me over the top of the airplane, which is always good. So we are on the airways now. Z119. So we zoom out slightly. Actually makes a little bit of sense now. As I was saying, that we're about to leave. We're going to a high altitude. Oh no, sorry, it carries on across there. So if we turn off this, we can drag this around. So we stay on here until Soson. So you can see this is getting higher. But we change routes at some point through here. So there's Esava. I wonder what the reasoning is for us changing altitudes. Anyway. So on the way in, because we've got the VOR DME arc already programmed in, all we need to manage is airspeed and altitude on the way in, which is fairly straightforward. So we're going to be in cruise for a little while. If we go and have a look on the map. Yeah, probably the next couple of hours. So can we push this out to go a bit faster? Yeah, 290 is probably the limit. Let's go and ask the mighty Google Gemini what it knows about the changing heights en route. So if we go on a flight plan, if a waypoint specifies on an IFR flight plan, if a waypoint specifies a given or specifies a flight level, should you climb to be at the flight level over the waypoint? Yes. Generally. So yeah, there's going to be other instructions potentially involved. ATC expects you to adhere to your filed flight plan. Yeah, go and tell Avats in control of that. Traffic separation, maintaining assigned flight level. Yeah, that's because of vertical separation. If ATC provides specific instructions that differ from your filed flight plan, you should follow those instructions. No kidding. Weather conditions. Yeah, you may take avoiding action and you would tell ATC why you are doing it, and they would factor that into their instructions to you. Typically they can see storms on radar anyway, but not always. Depends how far away. So I know a lot of people rail against this new world of using AI, but I use it a lot at work. usually to give me a heads up on, or a head start on approaching how to do something. If it's fairly technical, and I would have had to search myself anyway, so if you can ask a robot that's read the entire internet, it saves a lot of time. You can't take what it tells you as gospel then. You have to go and do your own work and use your brain and think, is what it's telling me accurate and appropriate? Or if you ask AI to write you some source code, you need to read every line of what it's written to see what it's doing, to see if it makes sense. Because subtly asking a question, or asking a question subtly differently, could have massively different outcomes. So Saren says, does this aircraft have random failures? I'm not sure if you can make them random, but it does do failures. So if you go into aircraft and the two spanners icon, there's fail, and I'm not sure what failed in ARM means. Oh, there's minutes. Okay, so yes, you could set up at some point in that time span it's going to fail. You'd have to go read the book though to see what it means. So probability is on real. So arming it means that it could happen, I suppose. You'd have to read the book though. But yeah, so I work as a software developer and we use AI all the time. We use it to our advantage. It's a huge time saver on some things. Do we know if there will be a console version of the airplane? Haven't got a clue. That's a question for JustFlight. If the BAE 146 made it to the consoles, I can't see why this wouldn't. What were we looking at? Aircraft, no. We were looking at the charts, weren't we? There we go. About to come through Soson. So, bearing in mind we know we need to get to 29,000 feet. That's 6,000 feet gain on where we are. So at some point in the middle of this next leg we need to go and command it. You do get the green banana, the estimated top of climb on the navigation display, so you could play games with vertical speed to do it. So we could say go 290 over here, and you could then go vertical speed, and we could zoom out on this. That's where we need to get to 290. So if we were to go and just play with vertical speed until we get the green banana showing up. If we put more range on this, we'll see it in the distance. There it is. It will settle in a moment. So we're more or less on target, look. So 500 feet a minute from where we are will get us to 29,000 feet by the time we get to Esava. Obviously it's moving around because the air is not consistent. So we'll just leave it for the moment and we'll have a look back when we're a little bit closer. How high is my frame rate? I have got it capped at 30 frames a second on purpose. So, which is all I think it ever needs. And OBS is only sending it out at 30 frames a second on purpose. So it means I've got a lot of headroom on the GPU. If we go and have a look, this is going to terrify you when you see the spec of this machine. So CPU is almost not touching it. RAM is nowhere near. GPU 1, here we go. So it's hardly touching it. So, and GPU memory, it's not touching it either really, it's less than half. This machine was bought purposely for 2024. So it's complete and utter overkill for 2020. But even so, I won't be even attempting to run 2020 at anything above 30 frames a second, because I can't see the point. And I won't be running it at 4K either, because I only send to YouTube at 1080p, so that's all I bother rendering it. But giving the computer the headroom to do other stuff means you just don't get stutters basically. The other advantage I've got, which is just luck of where we live, we've got fibre to the house, so I've got 500 gig. And that's synchronous, so I'll have no problems pushing Flight Sim 2024, even when it does go mad. I'm on a Wi-Fi connection actually. I'm not even cabled to the router. Oh, I need to go and check the door. Hang on a second. Yet another Amazon delivery. I think I know what some of it is. Yeah, Bluetooth adapter for an old PC. And I'm not sure about the rest. Oh, a cable tidy. I get the most exciting stuff arrive through the post. Right. So JFoot is asking, what do we get here versus the 146? You get that. You get that. So, sorry. Yeah, the Avro line of aircraft, the RJs, are essentially a 146 with a midlife upgrade, a huge midlife upgrade. So in terms of the switch panels and stuff, they're very similar, but you get FADEC throttle systems, you get navigation display, attitude indicator, you get a proper FMC or FMS, whichever you want to call it. Also, the thrust modulation system has been replaced, and we should have gone to norm on climb now. But yeah, so the navigation display, even though it's still quite small, because this is an old aeroplane, it's got all the different modes on it, which you'd expect to see. It's not very great at drawing things, but you get the idea. It's essentially the same one that's in the Boeing. Oh, you get a different mode control panel for the autopilot as well. It's much more like the Boeing family of the era. So, like the 737s, the earlier models. I think, is it Honeywell that make this one? I'm not sure of the different designs of the mode control panels. There's 2 or 3 different ones, isn't there? So yeah, it's less manual, but I can catch you out, and it did me today taking off. I wasn't really thinking ahead of the aeroplane, and I took off and didn't increase the airspeed on the auto throttle after engaging it, and we got into a corner of the flight model that the autopilot didn't like, and it dropped out. So I should put the yoke back on. So yeah, it's interesting. You get independent controls here as well, which is always good. If we go and look on the legs page, we could show progress, I suppose, which will give you your ETAs, which is always good. So 1614 Zulu at our destination. We're at 14, so a couple of hours for the flight. So, okay, there's some Easter eggs built in then. So J Foot is saying, you do get auto throttles, so the throttles will move, but I think the 146 had auto throttles, but it's still limited in terms of, okay, yes, you can set speed. Which I don't think it had cruise speed auto throttle, did it, in the 146? It only had climb, indicated airspeed mode, things like that. So this has got much more. So yeah, your auto throttle, you can set it in cruise. So it should go for Mach 0.7. But yeah, it's great. Just having the Boeing style FMC makes programming flights a doddle, especially if you're used to the Boeing, the way you program these things. With the route page, with the legs and all the rest of it, it's very straightforward. And the departure and arrival choice is the same as the Boeing's. So yeah, I should point out down here as well, this is all changed. So you've got the COM radios, or VHF, but then you've also got TCAS down here. So it has got TCAS, and it does work. You will see aeroplanes on the display here. There's a range knob somewhere in here. I'm in TA only at the moment, but yeah, if there were aeroplanes nearby, I would see them. Well, the 146 has kind of got auto throttle. It can't do it in level flight. It can do indicated airspeed mode on climb and descent mode. And yeah, and it can go, it has servo actuators underneath the levers. And if they get more than 10%, is it, or 5% away, then the arrows light up on the thrust modulation system, and it doesn't like it. Yeah, it's great. I think it's great fun, but I like any system that is a bit quirky and different. Yeah, but it didn't control speed as such. It did in climb, but once you got into cruise, the aeroplane would just carry on accelerating. But you have to remember though, all of these aeroplanes are from the mid-80s. Mid to late 80s for this, so this was like space age technology at the time, having a navigation display like this. It was retrofitted into the 146s to make the Avro 100. I'm not sure, I've not checked the books yet. It seems to be quite powerful as well. So whether the engine's got an upgrade as well, I'm not sure. Yeah, the MD-80 family are amazing aeroplanes. They might have small displays because of technology at the time, but the amount of stuff they've got built in and the amount of switches overhead in an MD-80 is just crazy. There's a wonderful video where a crew member takes you through the cockpit of the MD-80 on the ground, and pointing out some of the idiosyncrasies of the way it worked. It's really, really good. And the Leonardo version of the MD-80s in Flight Simulator is brilliant. So there's some click spots hidden in the aeroplane then. The screw to the top left of the altimeter. So that's set standard. Okay. Screw to the lower left of the DME arms toga. Interesting. So is there? Oh, of course, yeah. There's a button on the edge of the throttlers as well. That's to disconnect auto throttle, though, I guess. So. For a little while, so no, there was another height change, wasn't there? 300 at Mebac. So how far away are we from that? So 16 miles to Nintu and then 46 miles to Mebac, so there's no point doing that. We've only got to get another 10,000 feet. Were we supposed to stay? I just haven't programmed it in, have I? I've only put the different ones in, so that should have been 290 there as well. So should we go and do that? This is just for reference purposes. It's not going to make any difference to the aeroplane. Although it might to the pressurization system, I guess. So this might react, but I suppose... I'm not sure, I've not read the book on this, whether this preemptively starts charging the cabin or if it just reacts. I imagine it would just react, but you'd have to go and read the book. So Bilbao, oh yeah, I just picked an airport that looked interesting. So we've got a secondary at Santander in case we can't get in, but it's in a valley. And yeah, the ILS, we're going to go through this DME arc, which we've already proven is in the flight plan, and then we can go and jump on the ILS on the way in. Might as well use it if it's there. Obviously if it wasn't, you could obviously use the chart. So if we go and look at Navigraph, which has bugged itself out, so yeah, if you did it by the book numbers, you'd just be looking at a step descent, looking at the distances on the way in. Which again, in the simulator becomes a bit of a so-and-so because doing it single-handed, you know, not having anybody to check your work along the way. becomes very busy very quickly. So once we get through 300, that should be 300 as well then. So slash 300, execute. And then if we go next page, that should have been, so we're above 10,000, we're going into the, MapX, we're going into the standard standard terminal arrival route. I think, let's go double check that. Yeah, so we need to be above 10,000 feet, so we'll be descending for about 12,000 feet at MapX. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. So we'll sweep round over the mountains and descend down in towards the ILS. It's a 3.4 degree glide slope, so it's a little bit steeper than normal. We've got this zigzag here, which is a really interesting one. So we're staying on airways basically, and it's just threading a needle through some airways. Why it didn't stay on this one and then do a direct to, I don't know. Why it's gone all the way out to Mopem is a bit of a mystery. Anyway, I'm going to take a break for a minute. I'll leave this on the outside view and put LittleNavMap up in the corner with where we are. Actually, I need to check that altitude first, don't I? When do we need to get to 30,000 for? If I press legs again. Meback. Okay, that's there. Should we go and do it now? So if I go vertical speed and just tell it to do it very gently. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes. I'll be back soon. Okay, so Flight Sim Addict asks how the plane is flying. Plane's flying absolutely fine. I'm just taking a coffee break. I'll be back in a minute. Okay. I'm back. Watching that aeroplane make a complete pig's ear of that turn. Crazy rank angle in, didn't it? And then calmed it down again. We're going to find out what. Oh, okay, there's 2 corners. So maybe it did a very crafty, clever turn in reality. Be interesting to see what it does at Mokum. Should put the head tracking on. Flying into Moped. Can't actually see it on here. Oh, are we looking at the wrong one again? What's on the high level chart? There it is. So on this little bit of a route. So if you remember, looking at Navigraph, Mopam, you got direct to Veli. Yeah. So if we can have a look. So rather than try and use any airways up here, if we go, yeah, we're at high level, IFR high, we're at 30,000 feet, remember now. There's no airways to use. It's interesting, isn't it? There's no airways across this whole stretch. I wonder why that is. Let's have a look at the map. Although there's some low altitude airways, but there's no high altitude airways across the whole of southern France by the look of it. Interesting. Whereas you go and look somewhere like the UK and it's just like a forest of airways. Especially over the whole country though, look, it's like motorways, the whole length up to the Highlands basically. Although saying that, the southwest look hasn't really got anything. So similar in that regard. Spain has got airways all over it, look. It's fascinating. Then, yeah, the northern routes into Paris have all got airways. Some of the bigger cities. Anyway. It's a bit cloudy today, isn't it? It was lovely when we took off from Bolzano. Half tempted to turn the weather off just so we get to see anything, but I like flying with live weather though, that's the thing. So what I'll do is put ourselves back outside on a nice view of the aeroplane whizzing along. Put the map up in the corner so you can see it, and then go stretch my legs. There's no point me being here rabbiting away for however long. We just know when we get to the corner we need to descend, or within sort of 50 miles of it. We need to start thinking about descending. Okay, so I'll leave it there up in the corner of the screen with the map. And I'll be back in a bit. So just reading the live stream comments there from Reese about the inertial reference system. Yeah, I had to go and read the book on that. There is an interesting trick with it. I don't know if anyone's discovered this yet. When you get in the aeroplane, because yeah, it can take, depending on your position in the world, when you align it, it can take up to 15 minutes for it to align. There is a trick. If you go from off to align nav back to align again quickly, I'm going to double check this so I'm not telling you a load of rubbish. It's in the documentation about it, so I'm just pulling up the procedures again on a different screen. So I want the RJ procedure. IR alignment, where is it? Yeah, you can fast align the IRS system. It's they call it a quality of life option within the interface. So yeah, I got it right. So from the off setting of the inertial reference system switches, you very quickly rotate it through align to nav and then back to align. And then it would take 30 seconds to align. So you go off, straight to nav, back to align. And leave it on align. And by doing that, it will shortcut it to 30 seconds. So that's what comes of a nerd like me reading the book. Finding out all these bits and pieces. Of course, there's nothing to stop you when you're in the aeroplane. If you're in a hurry, if you're like on a group flight or whatever it is, and you want to just shortcut everything, you go in the aircraft tab and you say, get it ready for takeoff. And the plane will get itself ready, regardless of the state it's in. So if you really have gone and mangled all the switches, just say ready for takeoff and it will go and do everything for you. But yeah, I'm the same, I'm just reading the comment there, I'm of the same mindset. Where's the fun in the plane doing everything for you? They're saying that I'm using autopilot, so you pick your battles, I guess. I'm going to leave it there for a bit anyway. I'm going to go and make another drink. See you in a bit. I'm back. Let's see how we're doing on the route. So, yeah, this hasn't been corrected, has it? So that should be /300. Well, let's just go and double check. We want to see the OFP, don't we? $290, 300. Yeah, it's coming back down to 290 again on the direct to Velin. So we should have been back down at 290 really for Velin. What about Nenem? 290. So if you look about where we are at the moment, on the way into Velin, we want to go and drop back to 29,000 feet. So if we just go level change, the airplane will get on with it in a hurry. Descend. And it's done it in a matter of seconds. Everybody's ear just popped. So let's go and increase the range on the navigation display. Navigraph. If we close the OFP. Just going to go and have another look at it. So MapX, it's saying 124. Interesting. Okay. So Graham has said, ever thought of getting your own aircraft livery? To be honest, I rarely mess around with liveries. I don't know why. I think part of it is because I know if you've got your own livery, no one else can see it other than you, so it seems a bit pointless to me. There's a guy, there's a virtual airline that I founded called Virtual Flights Online. And there's a guy in France that makes liveries for us quite often. He's really good at it, called Mr. O. And I often feel quite guilty that whenever I do anything to do with the airline, I don't use his liveries, because I don't use anybody's liveries. Typically, I just use whatever's with the aeroplane. For that whole reason that, well, no one else other than you can see it anyway. But yeah, his liveries are really good. So if I just quickly show you the airline, if we you go to Virtual Flight Online and you go down to the airline, there's the airline. Obviously I'll show you something in there in a moment actually. So if you go in liveries, there's a link in here. This is some of the liveries he's done. So there's the A320 livery. But there's we've got a corporate colour scheme for the airline, which is really nice. But if we go in, he's on FlightSim.2, where you can get a lot of his liveries from. He did one very recently for the A380 that came out. So it's kind of got this AI generated pattern on the tail, which is really cool. Well, I think it is anyway. So yes, I was going to show you the airline, wasn't I? So there's a virtual airline that you can take part in. There's lots and lots of guidance on here. It's got an ACARS system, so you can track your flights and be scored on how well you have flown or how accurately you've flown. There's a rank system, so you can work your way up like a bit of a career model. There's the scoring system, obviously, of how the flights are scored. There's a fleet of aircraft. So if we go and visit the airline briefly, there's a few people flying right now. It varies throughout the day, you get different numbers of people flying. So I'm just wondering what is in the air. So it looks like a load of light aeroplanes at the moment. But just recently we've added the RJ series of aeroplanes. Well, I did it this morning. So if you go and look into, I didn't want to do that, I want to log in. If I go and log in as me, and then if I go into the flights, it takes a second because there's tens of thousands of flights to sort through. You can then filter them by the subfleet, and if you look down here you should find there's the Avros. So Avro 100, so we'll say what flights are there for the Avro 100 departing from say Stansted, and we click find, and this will take a few seconds to search it up, and then it will cut down the list of available flights. And there's one. So if you do a flights map, you can do the similar trick. So, oh no, that's showing all of them. So if we go and zoom in, oh my word, there's a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, we'd have to use the plus button here. There's a lot of flights. I'm a software developer. So I mechanised the creation of flights. I made a program that sorted through all of the aircraft types and what their ranges were, and made like a hub and spoke system of all of the airports in the simulator, and got it to generate all the flights automatically for me. But you can see you can do all sorts of digging around to find flights. That's just scheduled flights. You can do free flights as well. One of the great things in the airline is it can actually do the Simbrief stuff for you as well. So say you went into flights, for example, and we'll go and pick one off the shelf. It doesn't really matter which one we pick. So just wait for it to pop up. So say we pick this one, Virtual Flight Express. There's several sub-airlines within the airlines. There's one here from Honiara to Port Moresby. So if we go and pick that flight, and it gives you a view of it. So then you can then go and generate the Simbrief OFP based on that. So you go and pick your aeroplane that you want to fly it in, and this has got several planes that can do the route, so it will go through. We've got multiple airframes of each plane as well. The reason for that, when we first started doing this, we allowed you to damage them, so they'd end up in maintenance. But we ended up with so many planes in maintenance that we made them indestructible on purpose. So you get your pre-filing of your flight plan, so you can then go and change elements of it for Simbrief, and you can generate the Simbrief plan, so it will go off and do a Simbrief plan for you. Hopefully this won't break the flight I'm doing. So then you get the finalised Simbrief plan, and you can push this straight into ACARS. So I could launch ACARS at this point, and it would be getting ready to do it. We can also go and view the plan in SkyVector automatically. So you can see that it's just a direct to, so it's up to you to do some routing. But you get all of the stuff you'd expect to get from Navigraph, not from Navigraph, from Simbrief. And you get live weather at each end from Windy, which is quite cool. But yeah, and over time you get to see, your career progression. So you can see I've hardly flown at all, but I'm always monkeying with the system, not actually flying. But you can go in and see for any of your flights that you've done. You could go and have a look at a particular flight. And there's the ACARS tracking system doing its job, and you can see the financial rundown on how well you did. It's good fun. And what score you got? I got 97%. But yeah, there you go. You can, if you go load info, there's the finance side. Oh, here we go. Sorry, flight log. So it'll show up any issues that went on along the way. There's the PIREP information. Yeah. So it keeps like a really super detailed plan of what you did, or recording of what you did. So there you go. It's free to join. You can go to Virtual Flight Online and go and join the airline. There's also a Discord server, which I think I've shown on the channel before. You can see the links to it here. 300 people are online at the moment. So that doesn't mean that they're online on our server. That just means that 300 people who are members of our server are just online on Discord right now. But yeah, we also do group flights, so that happens through the Discord server. So a few times each week you'll see people organising. They're completely community generated, so anybody can organise a group flight and put it in the calendar and go and market it to everybody. But yeah, there you go. So I kind of founded this when Flight Sim 2020 first came out, because I wanted to have a sensible place to go fly with other people, and it's kind of grown its own legs now. So I have very little involvement other than being an administrator. There's some really great people that actually run it on a day-to-day basis, and it's all volunteer driven. So it's of the people for the people, very much so. Anyway, there you go, Virtual Flight Online, go join. Right, back to the aeroplane. So we're just coming through Velin. We need to be down to 10,000 feet for MAPAX, don't we? But we've got 150 miles yet. So we don't need to descend until just before Nenem, really. And then we're flying that DME arc all the way in. I imagine lots of people are making the liveries for the RJ100. I haven't gone looking for them because I don't typically use liveries. And we all know in 10 days' time our simulator world is going to change. So. Well, I hope we've got company behind us. The fastest, highest flying Mooney ever. What was it supposed to be? Should we go and have a look? It's a Vulcan. I haven't got the Vulcan installed. So you can see that whole DME arc is just jumbling up the display at the moment. That will sort itself out when we get a bit closer. Probably be about another half an hour and then we'll start descending. So BW Digital Photography is saying, is this flight with live players or is it just using normal air traffic? I'm on the Southeast Asia server with multiplayer switched on, so anybody who happens to find me will find me. I have got the AI traffic on, so whatever the current traffic is that's in the air will be showing up. If I go and put labels on, you'll see them. So it's famous last words. Going to go and double check. If I just go and look in traffic, yeah, real time online is on, there's just nothing around. Okay, so at 29,000 feet we can see about 150 miles out in front of us is the point at which we will descend. So we've got a few more minutes yet. If we reduce the range on this to 40 miles, or 80 miles even, we'll see things coming into view a bit later, and then that will give us a bit of a trigger to go do something. Let's get rid of the OFP. This is different. Are we still on guidance? LNav is on. We've got a waypoint that there's a oh, I hand programmed it. Have I missed something? Why have we got a custom waypoint? Is this a Jonathan Classic where I clicked something by accident? We've got a custom waypoint that shouldn't be there. So I bet, yeah, LittleNavMap won't have it. Yeah, that was a Jonathan Classic where I clicked on the screen and created a custom waypoint by accident. So if you want to know how you do that in Navigraph, all you have to do is that. So you can you can do crazy things. I think it's a selling point. It's a feature. If you're doing VFR flight plans, it's probably really, really useful. Just not so much for us, or not so much for Butterfingers here with the mouse. For a while. We're about to cross over we're over the top of Bordeaux at the moment. Can we see much around us? So Matt says, can I say hi to his mum, who is called Susan G? Of course I can. Hi Susan. If I put head tracking on, we can scare her to death, can't we, and tell her it's a real aeroplane. We're at 30,000 feet over the south of France, honest. She hasn't been talking to me the whole trip. It must be something I said. For some reason the head tracking is being a so-and-so today. It sometimes does that. .9,000 feet. Doing 270 knots indicated, which is Mach 0.7. So does this give you ground speed? I don't know if it does. I think it would, wouldn't you? But perhaps not. So our ground speed we can get from LittleNavMap is 450 knots. So obviously we're up in the thin air at 29,000 feet, which doesn't measure as high. Yeah, look at the head tracking is glitching really badly. Let's reset it again. It's just having a bad day, I think. If we zoom in, we get to see ourselves. There we are. So, Arcachon below us. Setting the heat plume from the engines. Okay, we are getting to within range now. So a bit further and then we'll start descending. So if we get down to about 40 miles out, shouldn't take too long. We're doing 450 knots over the ground. Could go and start getting the radios ready for approach. So looking at the charts of the airfield, yeah, although this doesn't say it's got ILS, we know it has. So if we go and pull up the information for the destination, open the charts, go to the approach charts, and it doesn't matter which ILS system we really look at, but we'll pin the ILS, go and have a look. Oh, it's the other side, that's annoying. Oh, of course that's Romy 12, we want this side, don't we? Pin that one instead. Unpin that one. Let's have a look at this one. There we go. So 297 degrees, 110.3. So we can go and get that tuned in on the instrument landing system ahead of time. 11030 and transfer it to active, both sides of the cockpit. And then we want the course to be 297 degrees. So we're ready to go for approach when we get in the neighbourhood. So you can see NeNem is coming up fairly quickly. So let's go, excuse me, we'll target 11,000 feet. Let's see how quickly this will come down. So level change. Now look at the nose drop. And the throttles are winding back. And the altitude is falling off a cliff. Coming down 3,300 feet a minute. That will get us to 11,000 feet quite early. So what we'll do, excuse me, is go vertical speed for the moment, and rather than do 33 we'll go 2,500 feet a minute and see what happens to the estimation. Okay, what about 2,000 feet a minute? That's a bit better, because we don't need to be at an appropriate altitude until we get to MAPAX really. If you go and have a look on here, MAPAX, yeah, above 10,000 is the constraint. Which doesn't mean you have to be at 10,000. This is a problem with simulator lunatics you often see, where they'll fly to the minimum all the way. So we're dropping out of the sky. You can see the DME arc now, look, there it is, and there's the approach, and there's a hold in the approach. Can you see that on the chart? No, it's not here. Oh, there it is. So, for whatever reason, if you're being held, you could stay out here and circle. I guess if you're too high, for example. Because it only says above on the earlier waypoints. Although it's saying there you should be coming in at 5,200 feet. And then dropping in. So 15 miles out here. And then you can follow, obviously, the step down. 11 miles out, 3,700 feet, 8 miles out, 2,600 feet. So what's the elevation? That points towards 100 feet or so. Ah, we're overspeeding. So we'll put it back to 250 now. Obviously we're coming down into the more dense air. You can't get away with travelling so quickly. So the airplane is favouring changing speed at the moment rather than descending, which is why it's extended out the target. So I've just thrown the spoilers out to their first notch, which is the tail on this thing. It's opened the tail up, which has allowed us to descend more quickly. So Pyro ship, is that? It's on about the Typhoon. Yeah, Typhoon's a bit of an odd one in the sim. It's kind of halfway between being realistic and just completely and utterly made up. It's quite amusing. I'm not sure what's happened to the DCS Typhoon, because that was announced a long time ago and it's gone completely silent. I'm not sure who was working on the Typhoon for DCS, but that was going to be a fairly accurate one. That might be why they've hit trouble now. Because I know when the developers working on the F-16, they got one of them, did he nearly get put in jail? Because they got hold of the pilot operating handbook, didn't they? Or some manufacturer data. And he was trying to, I think he had it in his luggage or something, or he tried to take it out of the US, but they got into all sorts of trouble. Come back off the spoilers. And it should start descending again. Why are the throttles racing? We should be trying to get to 250 knots. Okay, what's going on? Almost like the auto throttle isn't working. In fact, it's exactly like the auto throttle isn't working. So it's holding at 17,000 feet. Yeah, there's a bug there. I just recycled level change. Or maybe it wasn't a bug. When we had an alert a few moments ago for the overspeed, maybe it cancelled the descent. It's coming down again now. Let's reduce the range then on the navigation display. We don't need to be such a mess on the display anymore. That's better. 16,000 feet and descending. It's a bit quieter now, isn't it, with the engines on idle? It's interesting though, isn't it? You fly these planes and there's always something to learn about, either because you don't know what you don't know half the time, which is why it's so invaluable when you get the crews with real experience of the planes. The trouble is they're usually more interested in telling you horror stories of things that went wrong rather than how you should do things. I've had some fantastic emails that I can't share from people saying, you know, I'm going to tell you this story, please don't say anything about it on the channel. Or if you do, don't mention any names. By far my favourite is still the pilot of a... I don't know, what was it? What's the plane that Black Box made? The, not Skyvan. I can't think of the name of it. It's a transport plane anyway. And a pilot wrote me a wonderful email telling me a story about how their biggest struggle with flying it was staying awake, because they would often be doing like post runs and things like that in the middle of the night. And they used to prank each other to stay awake. So if you noticed that the other pilot was dropping off, their favourite trick was to pull the fire test klaxon on either the left or the right engine and kick the rudder appropriately. And he said, yeah, that just wakes you right up if you think the engine's on fire. But yeah, it's amazing to think that, isn't it? That the biggest danger with a lot of aviation is sleep. It's a bit like driving, isn't it? Which is why they have such strict rules. Okay, so we've got LNAV still working, so it should be turning us left any moment. There it goes. Coming down towards 12,000 feet. We've got another 1,000 feet, and then we'll be able to come through MAPAX at the appropriate height. So let's go and have a look at the chart and see what the rest of it. So we need to get to 5,200 then, basically, by the time we get to PAKKI. So Colin says, are you going to switch to 2024 as soon as it's released? Yes. I may well even delete 2020 from the hard drive. I know they can coexist, but I'd rather have my storage back, because that's well over 100 gig gone just for Flight Sim, isn't it? Probably 200 gig with add-ons. You can get some idea actually if I go and look in the file system. If we go and look at the community folder, so packages, so this is the content of Flight Simulator, if you want to call it that. So let's have a look and see how big the official folder is. So this will be anything I've bought in the marketplace, and the world updates. So 300 gig, 400 gig, 500 gig, 600 gig, 700 gig, 800 gigabytes of data. I could do with having that back. Let's have a look at the community folder. I haven't actually got much installed at the moment. So if I just go properties on the community folder, about just under 200 gig at the moment. And what have I actually got installed? Fly-by-wire aeroplanes, some warbirds, some scenery from Burning Blue Design, some IndyBuilds airports, some Black Square aeroplanes, IndyBuilds aeroplanes, Navigraph, black box aeroplanes. Yeah, so there's not a massive amount installed at the moment, but yeah, that's over a terabyte basically that I will get back by not having 2020 installed. Just reading the comments there about the Typhoon, my favourite military aircraft in 2020 by far is the Tornado, because it's somewhere near accurate as far as I can tell, and it behaves somewhere near accurately, so flying accurate pattern circuits in it is quite difficult. Having said that, the Starfighter is very good as well. Nobody ever flies a Starfighter. I did a series of videos with it a while back, and I flew the pattern in a Starfighter accurately, and it's a handful. Oh, the stream has gone wrong. So if you press F5 in your browser, I guess. I think YouTube is having a few issues. YouTube does that sometimes. Don't ask me why. So we're coming through MAPAX. So we need to descend now for 5,000 for the other end of this arc. 5,200, wasn't it? So I've set 5,200 as the altitude, and we'll go vertical speed. And we'll ease it down. We're going to slow down as well to say 220 to begin with. Yeah, there we go, look. So if we just descend all the way round, it needs to be about 800 feet a minute by the look of it. 750, something like that. So we're about to come down through 10,000 feet, so landing lights need to go on. I never let anybody go to the toilet, did I? Like, while we're still descending, I'm going to let them race off to the toilet. Completely forgot about that. I'm always forgetting the procedural stuff like that. Why is the flight directors switched off? I didn't switch them off. I've seen this aeroplane do that before. I wonder what causes it. So obviously, you know, once you know what causes something to happen, you can keep that in mind. So if we go look outside, can we actually see the destination yet? No, it's hidden in cloud. Great. It should make the hills, though, quite dramatic when we come in towards the end of this curve. So if you go and look on the chart, just to remind you, yeah, we're going to come in. We're just doing this arc. And if you go and look at this on LittleNavMap, which is over here, there we go. So there are going to be some quite big hills that we're going to descend through on our way towards the ILS. Strictly speaking, we shouldn't be using ILS for this landing, but we have it, so why not? So let's go and see if there are any speed restrictions. I haven't seen any. So in other words, it's just there's nothing on the approach there. What about on the star? No. Max 250, that's all. This is an interesting one. Look, we left the APU on. We could have turned it off during climb. And look at the discrepancy it's caused between the two tanks. Because remember, the APU feeds from the left side. So during climb, we should have really turned off the APU, and we didn't. Yeah, it's APU gen's still running, look. Don't have to have it on. So on the APU system up here, look, that could get turned off. There's no need having it on. Normally you would do that during climb, but we were too busy yapping and avoiding a disaster. So Bossman's saying, did I figure out how to import the flight plan? I tried it again today and it wasn't having it. I'll have to go and have a look at that and sit quietly and have a tinker. because it wasn't playing ball at all. It kept saying it couldn't find stuff in the database. And I tried it with the digits on the end and without, and it just wasn't having it. I have had it work in the past. This is the odd thing. Whether there were things in the flight plan that caused it to trip out, I don't know. But I'm sure this is version 1 of the aeroplane. I'm sure if there are anything, or you know, if the developers know of anything that's wrong, they'll be working on it. So it's just a question of being a little bit patient. Okay, let's go and lower the range on this again. Just extending it out to 500 feet a minute. We're going to be down to altitude a little bit sooner than we need to be. So Crisco is saying VNav not working for you either. I don't think the aeroplane has it. So this is a standard mode control panel that is fitted to multiple aircraft types. So although the VNav button is there, I don't think the aeroplane has VNav guidance. Which is fine, because it just gives you something to do on descent and climb, doesn't it? Okay, let's go and remove or reduce the range on the TCAS as well. Out to 6 miles. So we can see the hills out there of northern Spain. We're going to be turning in towards the approach waypoint in a moment. Right on the cusp of the clouds at the moment. Yeah, it'd be worth having a read about VNav. Somebody on the live stream commented on it, because I just thought, oh, maybe I've missed something and left it alone, but someone else commented and said this airplane hasn't got it. So it'll be in the documentation. Just reading about the APU on the Typhoon, yeah. It's quite amusing. Most fighter jets are very, very easy to fly because they don't want to encumber the pilot, or modern fighter jets I should say. They don't want to encumber the pilot with having to think about flying the aeroplane. They want to free the pilot up to be able to use the sensors and weapon systems. So you can see there's that hold, but it's the other side, isn't it? It's interesting. So we can see the glide slope and the localizer already. So when we turn towards the runway, now has this got the hold? Oh no, because I programmed it so it hasn't got the hold. But as part of the approach, although yeah, I chose the approach though, didn't I? Has it got? I don't think it's got a hold built into it. We'll find out, won't we? So let's go next. I think it's going to go straight past it. I don't even know if this has got holds. Albiz. I didn't program that. There's Albiz. So maybe it is going to do the hold. This would be cool if it does. So 210 knots on the way into the hold. So let's go and take this down to 210 before we get to the turn. This would be quite fortuitous because then we get to see a hold happen. So just by pure chance I've gone and chosen an approach that has a hold. And we've got lovely weather. So in terms of the Thrustmaster settings, just reading the comments there on the live stream, I've just mapped the throttles. It's a default profile otherwise. I zeroed out the curves on the throttles and mapped them to the sticks. So I've got engines 1 and 2 on the left stick, engines 3 and 4 on the right stick. Okay, we ought to be inside having a look at this. This is cool if we get to see the hold. So there's the ILS. What height do we have to be in the hold? Let's go and have a look at the chart. See, it's not that one. It's not on my chart. This is the odd thing. There's the Albiz hold. Okay. Maximum hold altitude 6,000 feet. We're at 5,200, so we'll stick at 5,200. We can see we're approaching glide slope height though. So then when you come out of the hold, you would be on glide slope then, looking at this and what's happening here. Making it look very atmospheric, isn't it, with the clouds? So I should have done the barometric pressure. We've got the wrong altitude. I just remembered that. Good job, I'm not a real pilot, isn't it? So Bilbao weather. We want 1030 hectopascals. Yeah, we're higher than we need to be, which is fine. We now have the accurate altitude in relation to the destination airport, which is always good. So the airplane's carrying on down to 5,200 feet. Hopefully it will wind out the descent rate. So keep an eye on the needle there, and this one. Yep, it's levelling it back out. Very cool. So let's see if it enters the hold automatically, or if it's going to go straight through. Turn direction right, which doesn't agree with that, but agrees with what we saw on the chart. Is it going to go straight through? If it does, I'll just carry straight on. No, it's carrying straight on. Okay. So maybe you have to do something around activating that, something else to learn one day. So we'll do level change down to 3,500 for the moment. I'm just looking for the glide slope. Whoa, we're way high. Okay, let's try this out. Don't do this at home, kids. Look at the speed. We're at maximum flaps, maximum spoilers, gear down. And this aeroplane can do this.
Sink rate.
It's well within its limits.
Pull up. Pull up.
It's awesome, isn't it? So let's go head tracking.
Pull up. Pull
Look at the
up.
speed. It's not going any faster than 170.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. 100.
Cabin is cleared for arrival.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Ground guide. Spoilers, yellow and green. Brake pressure checked.
And the reason this aeroplane can do it is because it can look like that. That's amazing, isn't it? So the tail completely opened up, the top half of the wing opened out, the flap, look at the size of the flaps, that's why we were able to do that. And the reason I knew I could do it is because I've done it before. It's good fun though. So is that an AI plane or a human? Let's go have a look. It's the AI plane. So let's get the flaps back up. Oh, he's disappeared. I was expecting to have to take avoiding action then. So... But yeah, this aeroplane is capable of doing enormously steep approaches. The good one to watch in the real world is London City. And they've put the music system on in the cabin. Great. To write off the tourist coach. Yeah, so I apologise for the steep approach, but it was good in a way to show what this aeroplane is capable of doing. The lift spoilers will get disarmed when we turn off the... There we go. Oh, they're coming back up again. I wonder what triggers them. That, again, that's a book learning thing, to know what triggers everything in terms of configuration. And again, on the way in, you might want to go and turn the APU back on and turn the head tracking off so I can reliably get to it. back on. The reason for having the APU back on is so then you can shut the engines down but keep the systems running. I wonder if the jet bridges work with it. Well, we're about to find out. Although no, it's got its own stairs, hasn't it? It's a bit uphill here. Okay, so APU should be up and running, and it is. So we can go over here and go click, click, click,
Cabin
click,
crew, doors to manual and cross check.
and then put the tablet back on. And yeah, you don't get a jet bridge option, do you? So chocks have to go in first. Then you can do the passenger doors. And then you can put the stairs in. And that's got a nice animation involved in it. That is quite steep, isn't it, on this apron? Does look good, doesn't it? So, in terms of switching the airplane off, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Just go and turn everything off that we turned on earlier. The anti-skid can come off. Nav lights can come off. Beacon light can come off. That should have been off. Yeah, because the engines are off now. Aircon we can leave alone. Hydraulic pumps can be switched off. So further down the cockpit, the heaters can all come off. The engine air can all come off. The packs can come off. Leave the APU gen running for the moment. We never actually put the seatbelt sign back on, did we? The fuel pumps can come... Oh, we need to leave the inner fuel pump on, otherwise the APU would have distinct problems running. This is all fine. So, yeah, engine APU is off, that's all good. So yeah, APU gen off is the last thing. Stop the APU. And then batteries. And it will go cold and dark, so I'm just going to wait for the APU to wind down. So we've stopped the sound system now, they'll all be complaining. There we go, cold and dark. Wander through and see how the passengers are. Oh, they've already gone. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. It was a bit of a fun flight. There's obviously lots of lessons in there, things I did wrong along the way. Things that we were a bit cavalier, like the approach, but and I thought, you know, this is a good example. We can show just how steep you can come in with an Avro, because of this wing design on it is incredible with the spoilers and the flaps. It's like crow braking, so you can come in at crazy descent rates. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.